For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery. Inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy. Taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees. So fair. Today is Friday, the 10th day of March 2023. Right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands, we hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or operating any type of motorized vehicle, including electric bicycles, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. And I do believe that a part of the rules of the road include the fact that if you are moving at certain speeds, you should be moving with traffic, not against traffic. So those motorized bicycles, and I think there are some skateboards that are motorized as well. You should be moving with traffic as opposed to moving against traffic. Yes, we know that there are advantages if you're moving against the traffic because you can see what's coming towards you as opposed to when the traffic is at the back of you. But remember, you're moving much faster than, say, a pedestrian who's walking as well. So we see many instances where these motorized vehicles that are not required to be licensed, not required to be insured as well, but they are required to follow the rules of the road. In many instances, we do not see that occur, and they're actually going contrary to the rules of the road. So we urge you to please ensure that you observe the rules of the road, because the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you as well. And to remind you that this segment of the For the Record birthday shoutouts are proudly brought to you by life insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, whose advice to you is to live your best life and make sure your family can too. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We do hope and trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you as well. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we wish you a speedy recovery as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open, and that beautiful radio voice and soon to go on vacation, Miss Susan Watson, waiting to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at for the record, one word, for the record at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925-3261. Follow us on YouTube. You do that by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream, and of course we are on Facebook as well. Folks, we expect to have Dr. McField in the studio with us later on this morning. He does have other commitments, but we're hoping to have him in the studio with us later on as well. And again, to remind you that this segment of For the Record and the birthday shoutouts are proudly brought to you by life insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, whose advice to you is to live your best life and make sure your family can too. So we do have some birthday greetings going out, and the first one, this one came in early this morning. Happy birthday greetings going out to Miss Karen Goddard. And those birthday greetings are coming from all of her nieces and nephews, and they express the fact that she is their role model. So Miss Karen Goddard, all of your nieces and nephews who look up to you and see you as their role model are wishing you a happy birthday today. And we here at Radio Cayman extend those birthday greetings to you as well. On the Facebook pages, well, I want to give my friend Mr. Steve Dodds, who is a long-standing visitor to the Cayman Islands. Well, from an immigration standpoint, I guess his immigration status would be that of a visitor. But he does own home here, spends time here, his family as well, friends, come along as a great ambassador for the Cayman Islands. He's originally from Bloomington, Indiana, has a bike shop up there called Bicycle Doctor as well. He's celebrating his birthday today, I believe. There's a little, Facebook will say one date, but there's another date. I'm almost certain it's today. If it isn't, and if it was on the 8th as opposed to the 9th, which is on Facebook, then wish him a belated happy birthday as well. But Steve is here with us in the Cayman Islands again. He returned in February, will leave again in April. A huge ambassador for the Cayman Islands, and those people in East End really consider him to be an East Ender as well. He loves to eat, loves his food, and his Cayman food, especially in East End as well. Family was extremely close with Miss Marvel, and his wife, Terry. Miss Marvel taught her how to cook many Caymanian dishes, as well. So big shout out to Mr. Steve Dodds, the bicycle doctor from Bloomington, Indiana, and a huge friend of the Cayman Islands as well. We have a birthday greetings also going out to Venice Johnson. So happy birthday greetings to Miss Venice Johnson, coming from her daughter and her grandson as well. And then we see here on Facebook, we have Janice Webb, who's celebrating a birthday today. Leston Paul celebrating a birthday, and Arana John also celebrating a birthday. So we want to wish happy birthday to all of those persons celebrating a birthday today. And since we won't be on the air tomorrow, Mr. Renwick Christian, he's celebrating his birthday tomorrow. Delbert Hall also celebrating a birthday tomorrow. And Miss Crystal Silburn will be celebrating her birthday on Sunday, the 12th of March as well. So all of those birthday greetings going out. And again, to remind you that this segment of the For the Record and the birthday shout-outs are proudly brought to you by life insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, whose advice to you is to live your best life and make sure your family can too. Okay, there's another one just popped here. Miss Jean Stewartson celebrating a birthday tomorrow. So happy birthday greetings coming in advance to you, Miss Jean Stewartson. Happy birthday to you tomorrow as well. And if you have any more, please send them along to us as well. So like I said, we are expecting to have Dr. Steve in the studio with us, hopefully after the 8 o'clock news. Lots of things to talk about. One of the articles that I would like to share with you, if time allows, we have an article in one of the UK newspapers where one of the members of Parliament, Clive Lewis, has he's a Labour member of Parliament. Clive Lewis has advised the government or encouraged the government of the UK to negotiate with the Caribbean countries on slavery reparations. And if I get an opportunity, like I said, I will share that article with you. Also waiting for Dr. McField to, if he is able to join us in the studio to talk about the recent successful appeal by the appellant to the Privy Council. Of course, we know last year that the Privy Council held their first meeting in the overseas territories here in the Cayman Islands, their first hearing here. And the case that was heard, one of them, the Justin Ramon versus Governor of the Cayman Islands and another respondent, the Cayman Islands, and it had to do with the secret hearings, and we want to discuss that with you as well, to share that with you. I think I've reached that point in time where we have to take a commercial break, but also with this month being International Women's Month as well, share another profile with you. And this one was long overdue. One of our national heroes, Miss Leela Alberta Shire, and I'm going to share her profile with you that was written in the Tradewinds newspaper in March, 24th of March, 1966. And also in March of 1966, our agriculture show as well. Some of the beauty queens, beauty contestants in the Cayman Islands, and we will share with you who took first place, second place, and third place as well. Folks, we're going to take our first commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Cayman's public library system started in Georgetown in 1920 when the government included an annual grant of £40 in the budget for the establishment of a subscription library. The library was located in a room above the old jail next to the old courthouse. At the end of 1937, plans were made for building a larger library at Georgetown to include reading and reference rooms. The new building was designed by Captain Rayo Bodden and completed in 1939. The distinctive timbered ceilings was fashioned after a ship's hull turned upside down. The ends of the hammer beams are decorated with the shields of prominent British institutions of learning. The new library opened its doors to the public in 1940, and for a long time the main source of printed matter was the Ranfurly Library in England. Lady Ranfurly, wife of a colonial governor, started the project of collecting used books for shipment to British territories where books were in short supply. In 1980, the first trained librarian took over the running of the public library.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
They say you only live once. I say you only die once, but you live every day. I'm Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, longtime supporter of Radio Cayman. Live your life, my friends. Happiness is in the journey, not the destination. When you're ready, I'm here to support you with the best financial decisions for your family's future. Cayman Insurance Center, protecting you and your family so you can take back your future. I'm Michael Webster, the sure way to protect your family. Call me when you're ready at 925-5433. Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets.
Think life insurance.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
Ouch! It's hard to expect a good day after a bad night's sleep.
Take advantage of Brand Source Home Gallery's Sleep Sale. Save up to 40% plus free delivery on Tempur-Pedic and Silly mattresses. Insomnia is bad for your health, so start sleeping better with the Brand Source Home Gallery 40% off Sleep Sale. Hurry! Sale ends Saturday, March 11th. Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Call 949-5211.
Attention passengers, the Cayman Airways Panama airfare sale has been extended. In just under 2 hours aboard Cayman Airways, you can explore UNESCO World Heritage Sites and the 8th wonder of the modern world, all within driving distance of a cosmopolitan city. Hurry, book by March 12th to get Panama airfares on sale from just $296 CI round trip. Some conditions apply. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Panama getaway.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have about 7 minutes before we go to our 8 o'clock news. So I'm going to share with you Cayman profile, this being the International Women's Month as well. We want to share as much about our Caymanian women as we can, and there are so many of them that we can be proud of. Some well-known, some not so well-known, but in everyone's heart, there's a female, either in their family or somewhere, that they have a special place in their heart, for them. And we encourage you to express those, to let them feel the love, not only during the celebration of women, but at all times as well, and give women the respect that they do, that is due to them, and to elevate them to that plane, to that level where they are not only seen but treated as equals, when it comes as being equal to their male counterparts, as well. So this is a Tradewinds article dated 24th of March, 1966. Profile, Mrs. Leila Alberta Sher was born in Georgetown, Grand Cayman on November the 16th, 1886, the first child of William Henry, son of the evangelist Frederick S. McTaggart and Emily Ann McTaggart nee Borden. In her early days, she was taught by Reverend O.C. Dolphy and continued her studies in the school of William M. Cochrane of Glasgow University. From childhood, she took a keen interest in the work of the Presbyterian Church and made her confession at the age of 14 years. She continued to be a very faithful and devoted church worker, and in 1906 became the church organist, serving in that capacity until 1935. She was president of the Women's Guild on 4 occasions and was the first member of the Christian Endeavor Society in Georgetown. She still attends the weekly services regularly. This is written now, folks, remember, in 1966, and this report is getting this, directly from Miss Leila herself, right? So she attends the weekly services regularly and finds her greatest joy in the worship, in sermon and song. As a young woman, She worked for Commissioner Hearst as governess for his children, teaching them school lessons as well as handicraft, music, and singing. In February of 1915, she was united in marriage to Arthur Bentley Ross of Spanish Honduras, and to that union were born 2 children, Leela and Bentley. The family settled in Grand Cayman, but made occasional visits to Honduras as Mr. Ross was engaged between Cayman, Cuba, and Honduras. On one of these visits, the family had a never-to-be-forgotten experience when the small boat X-Ray by which they were sailing ran aground at Sandfly Bay in Spanish Honduras in the heavy storm in 1924. They were stuck in the mangroves, remote from all civilization for days. Finally, they had to wade and walk for miles in search of shelter, food, and water. She became a widow on Christmas Eve, 1937, when her husband was killed by accident in Cuba. After her husband's death, she devoted a part of her time to teaching piano and guitar music to many boys and girls. She served as a librarian in the Georgetown Public Library from 1945 until her marriage in February 1953 to Mr. Samuel William Sher, a retired businessman of Montreal, Canada. After a short stay in Canada, they returned to settle in Cayman and lived happily together until he met his death by drowning on March 3rd, 1958, on his 84th birthday. After his death, her sight began to fail, and soon she could no longer see to read and write. This was indeed a great loss to her, as she spent most of her time writing poems or songs and music. She has contributed to her island the words and music of her national song, Beloved Isle Cayman. And I would venture to say, this is of course wishful thinking, but if we were ever to become a sovereign, independent country, that of course should be our national anthem as well. But folks, I won't hold my breath on that one. Article goes on to say that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II awarded her the Badge of Honor in June of 1965 in appreciation of her contribution to the works of arts and literature in the Cayman Islands. Monsieur is still fairly healthy and strong and is always keenly interested in the welfare and achievements of all, particularly the young people of her beloved Isle Cayman. And I would just end that by saying her recognition as a national hero came too late, but I always say better late than never. Folks, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. When we return, the conversation will continue, so please stay tuned.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Price Right is 8 o'clock.
Home sweet home just got a lot sweeter with the Live Better sale at Priced Right.
Get an LG 70-inch smart TV for only $649.99. Save $200.
Or save $20 on a Hamilton Beach air fryer for $64.99. Or get a Ramallah King reversible quilt set for only $22.99.
Shop in-store or order online at pricedright.ky. The Live Better sale, now on at Priced Right.
Price is good until March 15th, 2023.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Caymanbrack and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. A new report from the Office of the Auditor General. The report, follow up on past PAC recommendations 2023 Report 1, was issued on Thursday. The report is the latest in a series and provides an update on government's progress with implementing recommendations made by the Public Accounts Committee for two reports: improving financial accountability and transparency budgeting, and improving financial accountability and transparency financial management and reporting.
The budgeting system is fundamental to driving the efficient and effective use of Cayman's finite resources. And so while these changes may sound a little bureaucratic, they are really important.
Auditor General there, Sue Winspear. The two OAG reports date back to December 2020 and May 2021 and made a total of 33 recommendations. As of February this year, only two, that's about 6% of them, had been implemented. There has been no or limited progress with 4 of the recommendations, and 25 are listed as in progress or action is planned. The government didn't accept 2 of the recommendations. You can find all 3 reports online at auditorgeneral.ky. And advancing female leadership and policing in the British Overseas Territories presses forward with the establishment of a Women in Policing network. More from Radio Cayman's Shanda Gallego.
In 2021, the UK Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, implemented a 4-year project in 7 of the 11 British Overseas Territories to, quote, enhance and develop leadership in the territories, and specifically to advance female leadership in policing in the British Overseas Territories. In 2022, the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, with the support of the FCDO and the Cayman Islands Office of the Commissioner of Police, established their very own Women in Policing network. It was in November 2022, FCDO invited the RCIPS to attend a professional women conference for women in policing in London, UK. RCIPS Deputy Chief Officer Miss Nancy Bernard, Superintendent Wendy Parchment, and Inspector Denise Anderson attended. An RCIPS press release states the 2023 intention is to formally launch the network to the service. There are tentative plans to deliver a professional development day for female officers and staff, concluding with an annual general meeting to afford an elect committee to be established moving forward. There's also the possibility of attending the annual British Association of Women Police Annual Conference this month, being held in the UK, and the possibility of Cayman hosting its own Women in Policing Network British Overseas Territories Regional Conference later in the year. Shanda Gallego, Radio Cayman News.
Now with the check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. Nearly 3,000 delegates at China's parliament have approved the appointment of Xi Jinping for an unprecedented third term as president. No one voted against. The outgoing president of Micronesia has accused China of undermining his country's sovereignty. David Panuelo said China had sent spy vessels into the Pacific island nation's waters and offered bribes to local politicians. Parliament in Georgia has revoked the foreign agents legislation which triggered days of mass protests. The move comes after the governing party announced it would withdraw the bill. Officials in the German city of Hamburg say the gunman who shot dead 7 people at a Jehovah's Witness meeting hall on Thursday was a former member of the religious group. They say the attacker killed himself shortly after a specialist police unit stormed the building. Britain's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is in Paris for talks with the French President Emmanuel Macron. It's the first Anglo-French summit in 5 years. The Ukrainian authorities say they've detained 2 former managers of the aerospace firm Antonov over the destruction of one of its giant cargo planes at an airport near Kiev soon after the Russian invasion began. There have been clashes in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo between the army and M23 rebels, 3 days after a ceasefire was supposed to have begun. The fighting took place in North Kivu province. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has confirmed that Turkey will hold its parliamentary and presidential elections on May the 14th, ending speculation that it might be postponed because of last month's earthquake. The vote's being seen as Mr. Erdogan's biggest test in his 20 years as Prime Minister or President. It will determine whether or not the country continues on his Islamist-leaning path. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way, positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
We need to talk. Okay. We've noticed you've been going to KFC a lot more than usual lately. And
that's fine. We know you love it.
We just don't understand how you can afford it.
The KFC What a Deal menu, starting at just $3.50, gives you lots of great choices and value. Available at KFC Baytown Plaza, Shedden Road, and in the Strand. The KFC What a Deal value menu, the deal everyone should know about. Come to KFC and enjoy a variety of tasty choices at surprising prices.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report, brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 79 degrees. Relative humidity is 81%. The barometric pressure, 29.99 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east-northeast at 11 knots. Overnight low temperature was 72 degrees. Synopsis indicate moderate to light winds with moderate to slight seas are expected across the Cayman area over the next 24 hours, associated with a weak pressure gradient over the northwest Caribbean. Satellite images show a few low-level clouds over the northwest Caribbean. Now the forecast for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of morning showers, and temperatures will rise to the mid-80s. Winds will be easterly, 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Tonight, partly cloudy with cloudy spells and a 30% chance of late night showers, and temperatures will fall to the low 70s tonight. Winds will be light and variable, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet for tonight. High tide will be this morning at 10:35, low tide this evening at 3 minutes past 5, and a high tide again tonight at 11:37. The sun will set this evening at 6:32 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:37. And the outlook is calling for light southeasterly winds and slight seas from Saturday morning. That's the very latest on your weather report.
Mommy, why can't dogs talk? Why do I have to go to school and you don't? Why do you sing in the morning when you're bad at it? Why don't you brush your teeth when you take me to school? Why doesn't it ever snow here? Why does Daddy take the bus to work? Why are trees so tall? Why don't you tell me where babies come from? Mommy? Mommy? Mommy?
We're like a kid that doesn't ask a million questions before noon. CG Brit K. Good like that.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Brit K, where people come first.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Achieving our goals is rewarding, but at times can feel frustrating, especially if and when we miss our target. As you approach your goals in life, set yourself up for success. When setting your goals, tell a friend. An accountability partner is often helpful in achieving our goals. Let your parents or partner know what you're planning on doing. Sharing with others also helps us clarify our vision. Writing down your goals can help to solidify them and help you to stay accountable. Change your thinking and change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. Encourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Top of the morning to you. Let's take a look at how your traffic is shaping up this morning. Past the Tomlinson roundabout, traffic is stop and go. Busy traffic on Crew Road heading to Georgetown, and traffic is also busy coming off of Bobby Thompson Way as well as off of the Linford Pearson Highway on Agnes Way. Delays expected. As we look to Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, traffic is moderate in both directions, as well as coming from the west before we stop. A different story on the Esterly Tibbetts Highway, traffic is busy, and steady traffic on North Sound Road in both directions. Edward Street, downtown Georgetown, moving on pretty good. Shedden Road, moderate flow of traffic. That's what's happening on your roads. Join us again. At about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock, we'll give you another traffic report.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Head east on Cove Road. Sharp left on Church Street. Sharper left. No, your other left. Did I say left? Nope, you missed it. Okay, I'm lost.
With money-saving bundling options for home and motor, we're like a GPS that doesn't steer you wrong. CG Brit K. Good like that.
Let's stop and ask for directions.
You know what I love to do with my family? Go fishing. I can put the bait on and cast and reel the line all by myself. My mommy and daddy say when they were little, there were plenty more fish to catch, but now there are lots more people fishing, so it's harder to find them. That's why we have marine parks now. They set some areas aside so the fish there can have babies and grow bigger. Then they swim out to other areas where I can catch them. Having the marine parks means there will still be fish there when I'm grown up and fishing with a family of my own.
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're going to continue our conversation here. Still hoping, if there's not too much traffic out there, that Dr. McField will make it into the studio. If not, some of the things that I want to discuss, I will probably put them off, but at the same time, I will give you some background information on it. Meanwhile, celebrating women in the Cayman Islands. So in the 1966 agriculture, at the 1966 agriculture show, and that would have been the agriculture show, and you hear the what do they call, the historical vignettes that are brought to you right here on Radio Cayman, talking about Mr. Ulrich McNamee and his involvement in agriculture as well. So our agricultural show, the modern one, started in 1963. So this one in 1966, of course, we had our beauty contest as well. And the winners of that beauty contest was Miss Carol Arch, now Miss Carol Pardo, Miss Sharon Parsons. Sharon would have been the sister of Trilly Parsons. And I'm trying to remember the name of the other sister as well. And of course, Miss Aline Marin, who we know quite well as well. Sometimes she will call in on the show here, or she will send us an email as well. And so they were the winners of the beauty contest. Remember, it wasn't, the Trade Winds newspaper referred to it as a beauty contest. I'm not sure whether or not they were referred to as Miss Cayman. I guess, yeah, there would be Miss Cayman as well. I don't think that we participated in any international pageant at that point in time as well. But the winners, Miss Carol Arch, now Miss Carol Pardo, Sharon Parsons, and Miss Aline Marin. Now Miss Aline Wood, who were the winners on that day as well. And just to say also, beautification. At that time, an award was also given for Cayman beautification, because we had a beautification campaign. And of course, we have a beautification committee that has just been recently appointed again, and they're, doing their work. And I'm going to give you throw an idea out there, because yesterday I happened to listen to Miss Theresa Pitcairn, who's a member, and Miss Heather Borden, who's the chairperson of the Cayman Beautification Committee, either committee or commission, I'm not sure. So in 1966, we had the winners in Georgetown was Mr. Bert Thompson, Crew Road, and then Mrs. Theo Borden won second place. In Northside, Mr. Craddock Ebanks first, and Mr. Bertram Ebanks second. In East End, we had Miss Velia McLean first, and Miss Venetia Watler of Gun Bay second as well. I don't see anything for West Bay or Borden Town here, so I'm not sure. I guess those were the Didn't see anything for the other districts. So there was some talk, and some people are still complaining about garbage collection. And one of the challenges that the beautification campaign has, some people are advocating that we go back to more than the one-day collection of or refuse here in the Cayman Islands. This has a connection also with the failure of our legislators, and I say that, or parliamentarians, all of them, to introduce an active advisory or to introduce an active advisory district council law so that we can have functioning advisory district councils in every constituency or in every district, whichever way we want to have it. But people are complaining about garbage and garbage piling up, landlords and household owners, not assuming any responsibility in terms of how the refuse is put out on the street. Now, here's an idea that I had. If we had our advisory district councils, we know what the geographical boundaries are for each advisory, each constituency. We know where they are, right? Wouldn't it be nice if you had advisory district councils, or this is something that maybe the beautification committee may want to take up. There are other jurisdictions where you only put your garbage out, your refuse out, you put it out the day or the night before the next day that it's going to be picked up by the garbage collectors. Why not have a pilot program in one or a few constituencies where government is, we spend money on lots of things. You buy garbage receptacles, the type that can roll on wheels, and you encourage the members of a particular constituency. You give them those garbage things. They can paint their name or they can paint their house numbers on them. And you have a pilot program where people only put their garbage on the roadside or in their garbage containers the night before the next pick up, and see how that works. It works in other jurisdictions. There are places, Greenville, South Carolina, pickup is on Wednesdays. You put your garbage containers out Tuesday night, and they pick it up on Wednesday. If you put it out there any time before, no one is going to pick it up. That would help to beautify. But it may be difficult to do it on a large-scale basis, but if we had a pilot program in our constituencies. But, folks, this is my opinion. Our legislators do not want us to be involved in the decision making. Yes, when it is difficult for them, when they don't want to shoulder the responsibility and shoulder the blame if something goes wrong, then they say to you, yeah, we're going to have a referendum on this. We want to hear what the people say. Because you know why? If it doesn't go right, they can say, well, the people voted for it. But there are other issues that they do not want you to be involved in. And I want you to bear this in mind as well. Where we, the ordinary Joe and Jane, may not have access or the type of access to our legislators that those who call the shots in the Cayman Islands have. We don't have the same access. They have their Chamber of Commerce meetings. They have their presentations, to the Chamber of Commerce in terms of members, in terms of what's going to, what the government's plans are, what they have done. But you, the person who will go to the ballot box every 4 years, you don't have that same access. And the government, the legislators, they use you at their convenience when they want you to be able to shoulder the blame and the responsibility if something goes wrong. Why don't we have advisory district councils? Have them active. And they don't necessarily have to always be advisory as well. There are certain things that can be done. For example, the garbage situation. Yes, it may be an island-wide situation, but you're not going to solve it by trying to address it island-wide. You have to let people in their communities take the responsibility. You have to let them drive the process as well, because that is where they live, that is where they have their being, that is where they have decided to make their home. Let them be involved in the process. So, again, I say to the Beautification Committee, talk to the government. Determine how many of those garbage containers that you would want. And I would say that it should be, you first start it with individual households, not for apartment complexes, because those landlords who are making a profit from rental, they need to take responsibility. But you put something in place for them as well in terms of enforcement. But you do a pilot project for residential homes, those that are owned by individuals. If they don't have those garbage containers that are on wheels, provide them with them. Encourage them to put their garbage out. If your garbage is collected on a Thursday morning, you put it out there on a Wednesday night. You don't have to then worry about the fowls, the chicken, and the dogs and everything else, disturbing and throwing it up. Try it first in one of those, in a small community. You have places like North Cayman Palms, South Cayman Palms. You have other developments, some of the Frank Hall home developments and stuff. But you have to let the people who are resident in those constituencies do it. And how's the best way to do that? By having your district councils and having them involved. But like I said, folks, your legislators do not want you to be involved in the decision making, because your pockets, if you have any at all, they are not deep enough. They are not deep enough. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we'll talk a little bit about the Privy Council, talk about what St. Lucia, has done as well. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens. and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
Due to popular demand, Cayman Airways have extended the Panama sale. Upgrade your summer travel plans with non-stop flights from Grand Cayman to Panama. Panama airfares now on sale from just $296 CI round trip. In less than 2 hours aboard Cayman Airways, you can be in a land where the Caribbean meets the Pacific, where you'll find modern cities, rainforests, and so much more. Book by March 12th. To catch Panama airfares on sale. Other conditions apply. You can call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Panama getaway today.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I'm going to continue talking about different things. I heard the door opening there, and I see, my support coming in, Dr. Steve McField. I want to give a big shout out this morning to Miss Clea Smith. Miss Clea Smith. She's celebrating a birthday today. Miss Clea, dedicated staff of the Immigration Department, and birthday greetings coming from all of your former colleagues at the Immigration Department, including Miss Karen Gerzung, and big shout out, of course, Miss Clea and Miss Karen, very tight, very tight. Also, Blondie and Miss Clea, they were very tight at immigration, very close friends, as well. And so, Miss Clea, big shout out to you this morning. Happy birthday. May you live to see many more. And I know I don't see you as often as I used to when we cycled in West Bay and came around Farrington Drive on a Sunday morning. You would always be out in your yard there taking care of your plants and stuff like that. But one of these days we will start cycling back in West Bay as well and see you. So big happy birthday to Miss Clea Smith, coming from your special friend Miss Karen Gerzung, and all of your former colleagues at the former Immigration Department as well. We have a couple of callers. Let's go to the phone lines. First caller. Well, first of all, before we go grab the caller, Doc, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Thanks for being with me this morning. I wasn't sure whether or not you would be getting, because I heard that the traffic is really backed up out there again this morning.
Good morning to you, Mr. For the Record. Yes, and the traffic is really bad. It took me an hour and 10 minutes to get here when I got on to the Shamrock Road from Northwood Road.
Wow.
I left around I left here around 7:30.
Okay. Yeah.
Around I would say 7:40, and now it's 8:40.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Let's grab callers. First caller. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. A lot of static in the phone. I don't know if it's mine or radio Radio Command, but anyhow.
Yeah, you coming in clear on my end.
Oh, well, that's good. My end is very fuzzy. Good morning, good morning. You were talking about the garbage, OC. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I called there a few times in regard to the garbage, but it should be kept in people's yards until it's time to be picked up, And you just mentioned that in your conversation. And I agree with you 100%. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. In regards to getting these containers with wheels on them, I'm not fully sure if you say they will get them. You purchase them yourself, or coming from an environmental standpoint of, I guess, government, and not to be the landlords will have to find their own containers that have some sort of restriction on them. OC, here in Cayman, we go and we give the longest yard to everybody, and they do not appreciate it. And we, the government, and we, the people of this island, is always trying to fix things for people who can fix things themselves, but they refuse to fix it, especially the landlords with the property, with the garbage, the parking on the main roads when you got to be driving in and out of your residence you got to go, you're blocked by cars, you got to speed up, you got to you got a stop sign, and all those different things that we put up with on this island. And I really feel that it shouldn't be happening to us. And people that are having garbage problems, they are the ones that need to take this serious and not try to help them in any capacity, because we're already getting our garbage picked up by government. What do we call it again now? Environmental help. It's not being paid for. What more do they want from us? What more do they want from our government, including my Caymanians? We need to take this island in hand and continue to keep it clear. Because, see, when you come out here and you go and drive these visitors that come to our island, our shores, practically every day now, you know what their words are about this island? I bet you don't know.
Tell me.
Tell me?
Yeah,
huh?
Tell me.
They say the island is so clean. They have been here and there, and the garbage is piled up left, right, and center. They have never seen a cleaner island in their entire life since they've been doing cruise and going to various Caribbean islands.
Okay.
The one thing about Cayman, it is beautiful, and the garbage is so under control. And I tell them, it is a hard job, but we are trying our very best to keep it clean, because we know how important you guys are to us, as well as ourselves that live here. So I just want to leave that this morning. The landlord, and we don't need to help them, anybody get a garbage bin.
No.
They need to get proper garbage bags. And like you say, and I have said, keep your garbage in your backyard. Bring it up Tuesday night or Thursday, Wednesday night.
Right.
Put it by the front of your house.
Right.
Make sure it's secure very well. And the guys can pick it up, because our garbage men, they are human beings too. And they should not have to come out here and pick up the garbage that I see exposed on the side of the road. I would just drive across if I was a driver.
So, caller, for instance, in the area where you live, it is a development, so you have a limited number of homes in there. What do you think about the idea if the government were to say, listen, we want to do a pilot program in this community. We want to see how this will work. We will provide you with the type of garbage receptacle that is best suited for the collectors to use. And what we want you to do is we want you to don't put your garbage out there until the night before the pickup, and have someone monitor it to see if that is being done. Do you think that people within your community would subscribe to something like that?
I have a lot of static, but I understand a little bit of what you're saying, and you mentioned my community.
And whether or not people would the suggestion that I put out there.
Well, I'm going to tell you the honest God truth. Right there in Newlands, our garbage is not really out of control.
Mm-hmm.
It's put in the containers and bags pretty good, I must say. You're not seeing no pile of garbage pile up in nobody's front yard waiting for the truck to come up on a Thursday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a lot of that there on Eastern Avenue, and we got a lot of that there in a lot of places. There's a lot of, I'm going to say it, I don't care who like it, these run-down, low-lying rental people who's renting to these people and not keeping the landlords, not keeping their place up to date, and not making sure the garbage is put in the proper containers. And if I was government, I wouldn't give them one garbage bin.
No.
Like you said,
No, my suggestion would be just for private homes, not for rentals.
Yeah, even for private residential homes, they don't need no garbage bin. Or see, that's how they can go and buy 2 cell phones and 10 inches of long nails and 25 inches of long hair. They can buy a garbage bin, pull it up, and bring it to the front gate on Wednesday night to the garbage truck next morning. We got to stop spoiling the few K-minders that we got left, because the foreigners is coming here and sucking up everything that we bring out here to keep our island going. People need a whole responsibility as long as there is in this country. And it is a whole responsibility to OC. We will always be standing up to people that have no love, no concern, and no respect for this country. And we, the few K-miners, are punishing because of what they come here and do. I am not a racist person, and I don't have anything against anyone coming to my country, but damn it, they take care of my country, my roads, and my neighborhoods when they come to my country.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, caller, for that. Let's try to grab one more call before we go to our commercial break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. O.C., Mario.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing, sir?
Good morning. Also, good morning to your learned guest, Mr. Steve McField.
Good morning, Mr. Ebanks.
Yes, sir. I enjoyed your discussion earlier about the district councils and also about the situation with garbage and cleanliness in general. You know, the Bible says cleanliness is next to godliness, so if we're a Christian country, we need to be clean. I've been driving around quite a bit in West Bay in particular, but other parts of the island too, and I think I see an increase in garbage. I think people are throwing stuff out of their window in their cars, because whereas the immediate roadside and road shoulders may be clean, in some cases, just beyond that, it's like a garbage can in certain properties. But I think that the idea that you were suggesting earlier and advocating for this advisory district councils is really a way of not just dealing with cleanliness, but other things. Before I go to that, I just want to say that in regard to garbage, you know, we have the hurricane season starting in June, maybe earlier, and all these, there's quite a few derelict vehicles still around, and other piece of industrial metals, discarded stuff in people's yards and neighborhoods. You need to get rid of those. But the problem is that the landfill itself is such a mess and a crisis that I'm not sure how much more that can take safely, and without that being another national crisis. But going back to the district councils, I think the advisory district councils is long overdue. We should do it. I know that yourself and Mr. McField have been advocating that for a long time as well. It creates opportunity for people to get involved in governance of their districts, of their neighborhoods and their communities. It also creates a good training ground for people into leadership and becoming MPs, and creates also a pipeline for succession planning, which is also very important for nation building. So I want to support you on that. And finally, what I want to say and ask this morning, especially since you have your learned co-host there, is in regard to the purported upcoming referendum on decriminalizing or essentially legalizing small amounts of marijuana, and also liberalizing the situation with gambling. What is the government's view on it? Do they have a view, or are they all going to go out as independents and have their own individual views when this thing comes up for discussion and debate and public consultation within the communities? I mean, you remember when they had the proposed cruise ship facility the previous government, they had a view, and they were actually promoting their view, and others were opposing it or supporting it. But what is going to be the plan for this government in terms of this referendum? Very, very important referendum. And I'll end by saying this, that there are so many more important issues to be dealt with, including traffic. People who are stuck by the thousands in traffic in the morning and evenings, in particular coming from the east. We have the landfill situation and the environment. We have mental health and health insurance for people who cannot get insurance, especially those who are not working or finished working. So there's so many important issues, but yet we are coming off of this half-baked idea of this referendum at a time such as this, and it just seems to me lack of priorities. I'm not sure whose brainchild it is for this referendum, but I don't think it's a priority. But I want to ask in closing, what is the government's view on it? Are they going to be supporting decriminalizing or legalizing marijuana, and also decriminalizing gambling, or not?
Mr. Ebanks, just let me, before you go, okay?
Yes, sir.
I want to say this so strongly as possible. District councils are a foundation that is enshrined in the Constitution, Section 119. The Constitution is the fundamental superior law of the land. Yes? And it is that law that directs that there should be district councils. I do not understand any other country that can ignore the fundamental law of the land and that can still govern. I do not understand that at all. But I do understand that because the Caymanian people do not even understand what the Constitution means. And some people who get elected don't even read the Constitution, I don't believe. So the Constitution is the fundamental superior law of the land. And it says that there shall be district councils in every electoral district. Not in every district, in every electoral district, to advise the people who are elected in that electoral district of the fundamental things in the district. It's not an elected district council, it's an advisory district council. Now, the member who's elected in that district does not have to take the advice, but it is an advisory district council. And I do not understand every other organization that the Constitution has established has been put into force, except the district councils. Everyone.
Yep.
Everyone.
Could I ask a question then?
Very quickly, caller, because we have to go to our break.
One very quickly. If that's the case, I know it's in the Constitution and it says shall, not may. Could the opposition in Parliament or outside of Parliament in the courts or another group sue the government or whoever to say you're ultra-vires the Constitution in regard to not bringing the advisory district councils into force?
Because the opposition doesn't care, because they were the ones who were there when the district councils or their government was there when that Constitution was made, and they never did anything about it.
Caller.
So don't rest on your head on your pillow that's going to be done by anyone who's elected.
Okay, caller. Thank you very much for that. We've gone 10 minutes over a commercial break. 5 minutes. How many callers do we have, Ms. Susan? 2 calls. We're going to take those 2 calls, but we know Dr. Steve is going to have to leave us early, so we want to switch over, to the Privy Council case as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN money transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens. and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Ouch! It's hard to expect a good day after a bad night's sleep. Take advantage of Bransaw's Home Gallery's Sleep Sale. Save up to 40% plus free delivery on Tempur-Pedic and Silly mattresses. Insomnia is bad for your health, so start sleeping better with the Bransaw's Home Gallery 40% off Sleep Sale. Hurry! Sale ends Saturday, March 11th. Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Call 949-5211.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Before we go to the callers, just want to recognize Mr. Joshua Burke, who is celebrating his 5th birthday today, and birthday greetings are coming from his grandpa Ellis, grandma Camille, and his uncle Jeremy. So, Mr. Josiah Burke, happy 5th birthday today. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, there's a lot of static. I don't know if you hear it, but I do.
Yeah, you're the second caller that has told us about that this morning as well. I'm not sure what's happening with it.
But you can hear me okay?
Yes, yeah, we're hearing you clearly.
You're hearing me clearly. Okay. Well, I think that a few interesting points have been brought up again with regards to district councils, and I feel that when a lot of people are complaining, and we are a society that complains as individuals and not as groups, because we lack group cohesiveness, which has been the greatest downfall of the Caymanian people. We do not organize, we do not believe in organized participation and behavior. And this has been rooted in the family structure and the community structure from the very beginning. I was just reading an article in the Northwest, in the New Star magazine, I think it was in the Northwestern, where when I came back from school and I was talking about the social problems in the Cayman Islands and how they should be dealt with, one of the first things I realized is the whole idea of the lawless Caymanian, the individualist, the one who does not want to be a part of an organization, or even in certain cases, not even a part of a family institution. So we have this whole idea that somehow our rights can be disconnected with the common rights of people or from the community. The community is the center of everything, and the person cannot have more rights than the community gives the person. And they cannot take more rights, because the idea is the individual is to support the community. And we always go, well, I'm an individual. Yeah, we are individual, but we are only an individual insofar as we are a member of a community. And the fact that the governments have continuously supported policies and programs that take Caymanians further and further away from the concept of community. We look and we see it in religious terms, and we say our identity is Christian. But when the Christians are talking about communion, they're talking about communing as one, the oneness. That is the ideal of democracy. And if we're always saying, well, this one is this way and this one is this way, and everyone have an opinion, and there's no bringing together of these opinions and then sorting out what should be the focus of the community, of the group, then we are always going to be just talking and there will be nothing ever achieved. And this is why other people can come into this country who have a sense of community, and they can build their communities in Cayman, and they can surpass us, because we're always trying to fight each other, alienate each other, embarrass each other. So as long as I fail, the other one feels good. Should I succeed, the other one would feel bad. That is the root problem of Cayman's dilemma. And it's until we can understand the sociological and psychological roots of why this is so, we will never be able to overcome the challenges which we will face and which we are now facing, because it's going to get worse for the Caymanians. When I wrote Time Longer Than Rope in 1979, I said we would become like Indians on a reservation, drunks and broken up homes. It was based upon the fact that I suggested from the very beginning that we needed early childhood education. Now, everybody was as fortunate as O.C. Connor, who had an incredible mother and an incredible background. Not everybody was as fortunate as Dr. Steve McField in having an incredible grandmother and grandfather. Many people suffer because of the lack of connectivity with some positive idea to create an identity. I studied gangs from 1972. I started to study gangs in England, and I brought my study here. When Steve McField said there were gangs in this island, everybody got up in arms. The gangs in this island now are more professional. They are more professional and therefore more dangerous, but nobody's even paying attention to the problem. But when it hit them, they're going to know what it is. There is too much slackness in leadership in this country, and we see it in the very constitution of the PAC government. The fact that the premier yesterday would make the remarks in regards to the supposed charges against the Honorable McKeeva Bush, when he only got to be premier because of Mr. Bush, because the PPM refused to make him premier because they had already promised the job to Mr. McTaggart, and they kept their word. The fact of the dishonesty of people just for their egotistical desires in this country causes people like Mr. Wayne Panton to ask me if I'm always angry. And I said, yes, I've always been angry from the time I went to school, because I'm dyslexic, and I was beaten because I couldn't, my intelligence was different than other people's. But it's good to have a variety in order to create a community, to create a better view of who we are and what we are and what we're going. We have to accept that individuals will portray individual differences, but that is necessary and good for society. We have to stop chopping down each other's views. So the whole idea of the district council is being, as much as Steve is fought for that over the years. You mean to tell me that these young boys that are now in politics saying this is a new era of Caymanian politics can't realize the idea is the most important idea? The Constitution is broad and wide and vague in many cases. Having district councils would help to teach the people who got involved with that, with those councils, and that's broaden the activity of citizens in directing their country. Leadership is not about dictatorship. Leadership is about everyone being equal in the community by way of their participation and concentration on what is considered to be the ideals or the goals of those communities. Let us teach our people it is still not too late. The district councils need to be brought in place by this government and not wait for another government to deflect from the importance of community solidarity and community organization. Participating in democracy should not be considered as a nuisance.
Yep.
And every time we speak the truth, we are considered to be nuisance. And people want to punish us and get rid of us. But the punishment of God is upon this island. Like the Bible says, the punishment of God is upon the church. the punishment of God is upon this island. And I can tell you that when I said time longer than a rope, I knew what I meant.
Okay.
The Caymanians will not inherit this earth.
Doc, thank you. Sorry, thank you very much. We have to go to our headline news, but we want to thank Dr. Frank for those words as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
The 11th Annual Women's Health Conference is underway today at the Marriott. This year's theme, Common and Understated Emergency Conditions in Women's Healthcare. It covers topics such as morning sickness, postnatal depression, and the impact of abortion on the family. In international news, 7 people, including an unborn baby, have been killed in a shooting at a Jehovah's Witness meeting hall in the German city of Hamburg. They say the gunman acted alone in Thursday's attack and later took his own life. His motives are unknown. The suspect is a former member of the religious community who had, quote, ill feelings. Dramatic footage has now emerged that appears to show the suspect firing many rounds through a window of the hall. And New York prosecutors have invited ex-U.S. President Donald Trump to testify to a grand jury over the Stormy Daniels case. The Manhattan District Attorney has investigated Mr. Trump for 5 years over alleged hush money payments made on his behalf to the ex-porn star. Inviting him to a grand jury indicates he could face charges. Ms. Daniels says she got $130,000 before the 2016 election in exchange for silence about an alleged affair. Mr. Trump denies they had sexual relations. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
When you have a sports or fitness-related injury, trust the expertise of the HSA's Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic to get you back in the game. Our internationally trained and certified physicians specialize in sports traumatology, sports medicine, pain management, and orthopedic surgery. For treatment of common injuries such as tendonitis, arthritis, tennis elbow, rotator cuff, or knee tears, schedule a consultation with the Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic at Smith Road Medical Center by calling 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky for more information.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We still have one caller, but Dr. McField wants to respond to.
I would like
Frank
to respond
first.
to Dr. Frank McField's statements that he made. And if he's still listening, I would like to say, Dr. Frank, that first of all, Time Longer Than Rope was a brilliant piece of work. It captured the view, the social, psychological, and the socio and psychological view of the times that we lived in and what would follow after that in these islands. But you must remember that when we arrived here over 40 years ago with our highly qualifications, educational qualifications, and our expectations, that the country had no intention to receive the message that we were bringing to the people. They had no intention. They haven't done it. They're still not doing it now. That is because what they did and what they're still doing, they are looking at the messenger and they're not looking at the message, and so everything is about or beyond them, over their heads or below them. Your Time Longer Than Rope captured how the behavior of the different classes of people in this country, and it should be a piece of work that should be in every school. As far as if I was the education officer, but just let me go tell you about the Constitution again. One constitutional expert has said that a constitution is the rule book of the state, and it sets out the fundamental principles by which the state is governed, and it describes the main institutions of the state and defines the relationship between them. These institutions, for example, are between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, and it places limits on the exercise of the power of the executive and sets out the rights of its citizens. That's what a constitution should be. And I do not understand how a governor, for instance, can come and the cabinet members and the legislative members are breaking acting ultra vires of the constitution and say that's not for him. I do not understand that at all. What has happened is that there seems to be a pervasive disregard for the most fundamental law of the land in this country, and this has been over many decades, several decades now, because the Constitution came in 2009, and since that, like I have said before, every institution that the Constitution calls for has been put in place except the one that involves the people. Now you take that and you say that, but the people don't even understand that themselves, and that is why it's not important to them. Because if you're blind and you can't see, then someone who is telling you about what a color is and what it looks like, it doesn't really matter to you because you can't see it anyway.
Yep, that is so true, Doc. So I think the other caller that we had on hold hung up. So before we go there, let me see. Yeah, okay. This is one about customs. So I can do that when you're not here. So, Doc, we two things
Yes.
that we want to discuss, and I believe the first one we will discuss the local situation first. And then the other one has to do with St. Lucia.
Yes.
Now choosing the Caribbean Court of Justice as their final court of appeal, and that legislation being put in place last week. They have already advised the UK, of their intentions and what they're doing as well. But we have the judgment on the case that the Privy Council, when they sat here in Cayman last year, they have rendered a judgment in relation to the Justin Ramon case. And first of all, I wanted you to share with our listeners and viewers what the issue was,
Yes.
and then we can go to the judgment as well.
First, I will share with your listeners the case summary of the Justin Ramon, the appellant against the governor of the Cayman Islands, who was the respondent before the Privy Council that just last year. And the case summary says the issue: this appeal concerns the lawlessness if the applicant's removal from the Cayman Islands to serve his prison sentence in England. It raises the following issue. First, whether the Grand Court of the Cayman Islands has an implied statutory power or an inherent power to hold a closed material procedure when determining claims brought under the Bill of Rights of the Cayman Islands. And second, if there is no power to order a closed material hearing, what approach should the Grand Court adopt? And thirdly, whether the appellant's rights were sufficiently safeguarded to ensure compliance with the Cayman Islands Bill of Rights when the challenge decision was taken.
Mm-hmm.
And then the short facts are: in May 2006, Ramon, together with another, was convicted of the murder of Jason Powery. He was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 35 years and sent to HM Prison Northward in the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands authorities soon recorded compelling intelligence that Mr. Ramon had continued to orchestrate gang-related activities in prison, including conspiracy to murder, the smuggling of drugs, firearms, and hitman into the Cayman Islands to staff at prison Northward, and assaults on inmates. In June 2017, Mr. Roon was transferred to a high-security prison in England, pursuant to the powers conferred by the Colonial Prisoners Removal Act 1884, the 1884 Act. And by the way, that That is, you hear what it says? The Colonial Prisoners Removal Act, 1884. But by the way, and for your listeners, Kenyatta from Kenya was transferred to England under that act too, in the 1950s. Mr. Ramon was given neither notice nor any opportunity to make representation until after he had been transferred to prison in England. Mr. Ramon brought a judicial review claim against challenging the transfer, and he sought the application of the Bill of Rights to decisions under the 1884 Act, and to argue that the decision-making process was unfair, and to challenge the legality of the 1884 Act framework. He also argued that the removal decision had taken insufficient account of his family rights. At first instance, the judge dismissed the judicial review application. Mr. Ramon appealed to the Court of Appeal of the Cayman Islands, which dismissed the appeal. The Court of Appeal held that the 1884 Act provisions are in accordance with the law that must be exercised compatibly with the Bill of Rights, and that given that there are only unsatisfactory possibilities if a CMP, that is the material hearing, is unavailable, and yet Mr. Ramon has an access rights to challenge decisions under the 1884 Act. The Grand Court has the power to order a CMP. Mr. Ramon now appeals to the Judicial Privy Council. So the Privy Council held.
So if I can interrupt you for a second, when the part speaks about at the first instance, that would have been at the Grand Court level? At the Grand Court. Grand Court level.
Yes.
Then the Court of Appeals.
The Court of Appeals is the second instance.
Yes.
And then the Privy Council. And the Privy Council held, the case was heard by the Cayman Islands House of Justice, Georgetown, Cayman Islands, as part of the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council's visit. And the recording from the Privy Council held that the Court of Appeal and the Grand Court was wrong, and that Mr. Ramon had the right to challenge the hearing, and that the matter should go back for a rehearing before the Grand Court, on a judicial review.
Okay.
So this terrible Colonial Prisoners Removal Act 1884 is what they use to remove prisoners to England. That act is so old; it's over 100 years old now. It's over 100 and something years old now, and it's really to remove prisoners who are plotting against the state, so forth. In the old days, when the colonial system was at its heyday, and that act now really has no place rightly, unless it is unless it is compatible with the Bill of Rights. So, the Privy Council found that the Court of Appeal and the Grand Court did not give Mr. Ramon a fair hearing, and that the appeal was allowed as far as his rights to attack his removal by judicial review.
Okay. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
So much happening so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my healthcare instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
Attention passengers, the Cayman Airways Panama airfare sale has been extended. In just under 2 hours aboard Cayman Airways, you can explore UNESCO World Heritage Sites and the 8th wonder of the modern world, all within driving distance of a cosmopolitan city. Hurry, book by March 12th to get Panama airfares on sale from just $296 CI round trip. Some conditions apply. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Panama getaway.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have the phone lines closed off briefly so that Dr. McField can share this judgment with us and explain. So, Doc, this is a pretty long document, but if we could go now to the issues that the Court of Appeal addressed, and then their decision on that, and then we, or tell you what, why don't we go to 30 the issues on this appeal, the issues on this appeal, which is section 30.
It's so long, such a long judgment.
Yeah, on this, paragraph 30, on this further appeal, the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council by the appellant, the following issues arise: whether the Court of Appeal erred in concluding that the Grand Court had jurisdiction to hold a CMP, or if such jurisdiction existed, that the jurisdiction could properly be exercised. Have you found that on 30? Number 30? Okay.
Yes, I found that.
So let's start with that.
I found that. Whether they and whether in the event that the Court of Appeal erred and no CMP was available, the application for judicial review should be allowed, dismissed, stopped, or struck out, or remitted to the Grand Court for reconsideration. Mm-hmm. Whether the decision challenged was in accordance with the law, and whether no account was taken of the impact of transfer of an appellant and his child's family life, and that the decision was accordingly unlawful.
Okay.
And then the Colonial Prisoners Removal Act 1884, it says, provides the material removal of prisoners from British possessions in certain cases, whereas regard a prisoner undergoing sentence of imprisonment in any British possession for any offence, it appears to the removing authority hereinafter mentioned either that there's reason for there being no prison in the said prison British possession in which the prisoner can properly undergo his sentence, or otherwise the removal of the prisoner is expedient for his safer custody or for more efficiently carrying out his sentence into effect, or that the prisoner belongs to a class of persons who under the law of the said British possession are subject to removal under this act. And in any case, the removing authority may subject nevertheless to the regulations in force under this act, order such prisoner to be removed to any British possession or to the United Kingdom to undergo his sentence or the residue thereof. And the removing authority for the purpose of this act shall be Secretary of State, active with the concurrence of the government of every British possession concerned, and evidence of act of government of British possessions or Secretary of State. And it goes on and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to get to see if I can find what the Privy Council actually heard.
And it talks
and then it said the principal issue which arises on this appeal is whether a CMP is available on the hearing of the judicial review, whereas a conventional bill P2 procedure might involve the withholding of certain documents on public interest grounds, and the trial therefore proceeding only on the basis of the documents which have been disclosed. CMP would involve the court deciding the case having taken into account closed materials
proceeding,
materials and submissions which one party has not seen. A CMP may or may not necessitate the appointment of a special advocate, and the CMP has been described in the full term, a procedure in which a party is permitted to comply with its obligation to disclosure of documents and to rely on the pleadings and or written evidence and or oral evidence in which disclosing such material to other parties, if and so to the extent that disclosure to them would be contrary to the public interest, which withheld material being known as closed material, and disclosure of such closed material is made to special advocates, and where appropriate, the court must ensure that such closed material is not disclosed to any other parties or to any other person, save where it is satisfied that such disclosure would not be contrary to the public interest. For the purpose of the definition, disclosure is contrary to the public interest if it is made contrary to the interests of national security, the international relationship of the United Kingdom, the detection and prevention of crime, or in any other circumstances where disclosure is likely to harm the public interest. And so, in other words, all the material that the government said he had against this person was not material that he saw himself, and his lawyer, not even his lawyer saw it. But a third party, that they appointed to look at the material and to tell his lawyer whether they think it was material that he could challenge. So let me see, because the case is very long.
Yeah.
And
so they basically what they would in terms of letting another lawyer see it, they figure, well, we want to try to be as transparent as possible, but without the appellant or his legal representative seeing it, but getting that information through a third party.
Exactly.
They thought that they would get away with that.
That's right. And the Privy Council goes on because it's a very long case.
Yes, I'm trying to find the.
I'm on page 22 of page 34. Now, let me see if I can find it.
Okay, let's look at this issue number 4. See if you can find issue number 4. Whether no account was taken of the impact of transfer on the applicant's family life and his child's family life, with the result that the decision was unlawful.
I haven't
because
found
that's on page 32. Page 32.
Okay.
And their conclusion on
page 32, I have that.
Okay. So
it says, when determining whether a power of removal is in accordance with the law, it is also necessary to consider whether there exists adequate safeguards against abuse of the power. There must be safeguards in which the effect of enabling the proportionality of the interference to be subsequently examined, and that yes, and in the present case, the Court of Appeal, paragraph 84, helpfully summarized some of the features which a fair process entails in the contents of relocation of prisoners by reference to the decision of the European Court of Human Rights. The law must provide a realistic opportunity to challenge allocations to a particular person. An individual circumstances must be assessed. The prisoner is entitled to reason subject to review by the independent body, and where the impact on family life is likely to be long-lasting.
Okay.
Particularly searching review by the independent judicial authority. And the system must enable the prisoner to obtain a judicial review of the proportionality of the penal authority's decision to his or her vested interests in maintaining family and social ties.
Okay, let's look at section paragraph 69 now.
Yes. And paragraph 69 says the appellant's right to dignity, his right to respect for his family life, and the right to respect for the family life of his child must be taken into account and given due weight in the proportionality balancing exercise with the child's best interest as a primary consideration. The appellant submits that the first respondent failed to take into account his right to family life, and the Court of Appeal found as a fact that the first respondent did take the factor into account, and so forth. And the conclusion, for these reasons, the board, it says the board can see no grounds for departing from these primary findings of fact. The question whether appropriate weight was given to these considerations in the proportionality balancing elections will have to await the hearing of the judicial review. And for these reasons, the board will humbly advise His Majesty that the appeal should be allowed on the grounds 1, dismissed on grounds 3 and 4, and that the proceeding should be remitted to the Grand Court for the hearing of the judicial review, what I said before.
Okay. And so ground 1 again, do we recall what that was? I'm going to try to scroll back to see if I can find what, because that ground 1 was the one that they allowed at the end of the day, right?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Susan, let's take a commercial break for us. Give us an opportunity to find out, because I think Dr. McField, you're going to have to leave after this, right? You have to be in court at 10?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Let's take a commercial break for us now, Ms. Susan, please.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay Mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone, and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
Are you feeling sick but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough, and sore throat to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
The Ministry of Education invites eligible Caymanians to apply for an Education Council Local Scholarship for the 2023-2024 academic year. To apply for a local scholarship or learn more about various scholarship offerings, please visit the Scholarship Secretariat Unit's website at www.moescholarships.gov.ky. Applications close on Sunday, April 30th, 2023. Brought to you by the Ministry of Education.
The Family Resource Center is inviting professionals to register for the Setting the Stage for Equity workshop, which takes place on March 13th from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. at the Loft. In this session, participants will gain clarity regarding the differences between diversity, inclusion, and equity, and ways they can unfold in our organizations and communities. Strategies for translating this knowledge into practical action will also be discussed. Pre-registration is required as space is limited. The Family Resource Center is celebrating Honoring Women Month throughout March in many other ways and would like to encourage you to follow them on Facebook or Instagram to keep up to date. For further details, contact the Family Resource Center at 949-0006 or email frc@gov.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Dr. McField had to leave us because he has to be in court for 10 o'clock. I want to thank him for at least, giving us at least an hour to spend with us as well. So, folks, the non-legal person is just left to, and I don't have to explain anything to you. I'll just read, what. So the Privy Council on the issue number 1 they allowed, and the other ones they didn't deal with that would have to be dealt with at the hearing. But the issue number 1, whether the Court of Appeal erred by concluding that the Grand Court had jurisdiction to hold a closed material proceedings, or if such jurisdiction existed, that the jurisdiction could properly be exercised. So whether or not there was jurisdiction for the Grand Court to hold a closed material proceeding, and if that jurisdiction existed, then whether or not it could be properly exercised. So at the conclusion, that was issue number one, and what the Privy Council said, for these reasons, the board humbly advised His Majesty that the appeal should be allowed on ground one, right? That was the one, whether or not the jurisdiction of the Grand Court to hold a closed material proceeding, and if the jurisdiction did exist, whether or not it was exercised properly or whatever, right? They dismissed ground 3 and 4, and then also advised that the proceedings should be remitted to the Grand Court for the hearing of a judicial review. So the Grand Court now, has to hear the judicial review. Folks, this, we're just explaining it to you. No one has taken any position in relation to the Ramon case and the judgment at all. This basically just has to do with the appellate process and the hearing of the Privy Council. The merits of the conviction of Mr. Ramon, we're not involved in that at all. What this case is about is the merits of holding a closed material proceeding, whether or not the Grand Court had the jurisdiction to do that, and if they did have the jurisdiction, whether or not it was exercised, properly as well. That is what it is all about. There were issues that were raised, various authorities were cited in the decisions, and we didn't get into all of that because, Dr. McField would understand all of that, but we wanted to break it down, for you as much as possible. So where we're at now is that the Grand Court will now have to hold a judicial review on the question that has been allowed by the Privy Council, or that the Privy Council has advised His Majesty to allow as well. We're going to open back up the phone lines. In the meantime, one of our listeners wrote and said, this is changing gears, going off to a different topic. The person says, I think that it is high time that the government and the Customs Department change the way that they do this, do the free flow system at the airport. The person says this is one of the easiest ways that guns, drugs, and all of the more illegal things can come into the island. They go on to say, just recently we have been hearing about all the drugs that have been intercepted at the free flow point, only because we have good trained officers and they are being so vigilant. They go on to say that in the United States of America, if you come through free flow, nothing to declare line, your bags have already been through a scanner system and have special tag placed on it. Sometimes we don't even know that this is a case. Government needs to wake up. Well, I would say to you that I don't believe that that it would be prudent for the Customs Department to tell you everything that they're doing. I'm sure any process and a procedure that they implement. They have done a risk assessment of that, and they know, that it is covered in some other respect as well. They're not going to tell you whether or not your bags have been scanned, before you collect them. No one's going to tell you whether or not you're walking through some other area and your bag may not be x-rayed without your knowledge as well, because if they did that, then that would be letting out all their secrets. I would say kudos to the Customs Department in terms of, their rate of detection, and we don't necessarily always hear about it. I think the most recent case with the fentanyl, I think that it was important for the Customs and Border Control to put that out in the public domain so that we are alerted to some of the additional challenges that we are exposed to here in the Cayman Islands. Not discounting the local usage and the local clientele that we have. Don't forget that we have over 36,000 persons who are from other jurisdictions who come here and work as well. And despite what we try to know about them in terms of ensuring that they have a clean police report and everything else, that doesn't necessarily mean that they may not have habits that may not be in line with the laws of the Cayman Islands. And that is very difficult for us to determine as well. If you want me to put that, in a little bit more common language, if a person comes here with a drug habit, the medical that they're required to undergo may not necessarily alert us, to that fact. What I'm saying is that there is a Caymanian component to the clientele that we have for drugs, illegal drugs in the Cayman Islands, and there is a foreign component of it as well. And some of the people may ascribe their need to use drugs because of the enormous amount of stress that they, not saying that it's a valid excuse, but the enormous amount of stress that they are placed under to perform their work, working 16, 17 hours per day. When you are commanding the salaries in the range of $250,000 on an annual basis, don't think that you're going to be sitting down on your laurels, doing nothing to earn that. You're under a tremendous amount of stress. But again, getting back to my point, there is a local component and there's a foreign component as far as the clientele for illegal drugs in the Cayman Islands, is concerned. Customs has a onerous, a humongous job, and they're doing their best, and they don't necessarily tell you every case that they have cracked as well. We have a few callers. Let's go to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. There's no one there, Miss Susan. Let's try the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Okay. Someone has sent me a job advert and they're asking me if I could read it out, but let's see if I can enlarge it. It is accounts officer. Okay, let's try to call her one more time. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. How are you?
All right, sir. Thanks. I'm calling concerning the garbage that you were talking about. Because the last several weeks, I come down early in the morning and I'm seeing these boxes and different items in the middle of the road. And you don't even know if it's a hard material inside those that will damage your vehicle, so it's kind of dangerous when you're driving on the road and don't know what these items are, and you might cut and go over and hit somebody, and I suspect it's from one of the Grab trucks, because I see a lot of Grab trucks loaded, and you can see all of the boxes and different items up there. I think they should have a cover just like the dump trucks have. When they get full like that, they pull it across to make the road safer for everybody to drive on.
And is you talking about the DEH trucks, Grab trucks?
Well, yes, exactly. Yeah. So they should be setting an example, because you got a lot where these dump trucks have to put that, so they should have to, because these could be light boxes, could be heavy boxes. And while you're on the garbage too, I see a lot of people, when I'm driving, throwing garbage on the side of the road, and I think we need to have some kind of law that enforce that, that even the public get a picture of them doing this, they can report it. If it's someone on work permit, we put it on the work permit and don't grant them no more work permit, get them off the island. Just if they can put a law in place for chicken $500,000, well, we can put it on these people that littering,
But caller, would you admit that it is so difficult to enforce? What we really need is we need to have more cameras up so that you can pick up those things. You would pick up the license plate of the vehicle from which the item may have been thrown, and then you hold, because you can't have people everywhere on the street to see when someone throws something out of a vehicle.
Yeah, I agree with that. But then, some people got dash camera, and if you can pick that up on that dash camera, that should be enough evidence that I can carry, and they prosecute them. But I'm talking about people I even see walking the road and throwing the garbage down there, changing tire, throwing the tire up in the bush, and all of that, And, we got to start somewhere. We need to put that the public can help enforce this, because government keep paying to clean the side of the road every year, and within 2-3 months they could go back and get the same amount of garbage from the side of the road.
Yep.
So that's what I want to talk about, especially the DEH trucks. They need to have a cover to protect the road and make the road safer for us to drive on.
Yes, or the alternative to that is do not overload them, because I think the DEH, their trucks, the Grab trucks, they have almost like an extra siding. So if they were to compress it down so that it's not above those rails, that would be good as well. Yeah.
Yes, that would work too.
Yeah.
That do something.
Good point. Thank you very much, caller. Have a great weekend. Stay safe as well. Before we go, we have a commercial break that we're going to go to, and we have how many calls, Miss Susan? 2 calls. We're going to make those the last 2 calls. But I'm going to read this because I have 1 minute before the commercial break, but it wouldn't be enough time for anyone to speak. It says, "Good morning, Mr. Kerner. This person has sent me a job advert, and I think it has to do with an accounts clerk. I'm unable to read the whole thing on air, plus difficult expanding it, but the person said that they're hoping that a young Caymanian will apply and get this position. The person says we are noticing in more situations now that Caymanians are being passed up for these kinds of jobs in favor of other nationalities. I also think that a part of the problem is that the HR departments are headed up by foreign nationals who tend to give preference to their own nationality." And the person saying that they're appealing to Caymanians to apply as well. Let's take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
Ouch! It's hard to expect a good day after a bad night's sleep. Take advantage of Bransaw's Home Gallery's Sleep Sale. Save up to 40% plus free delivery on Tempur-Pedic and Silly mattresses. Insomnia is bad for your health, so start sleeping better with the Bransaw's Home Gallery 40% off Sleep Sale. Hurry! Sale ends Saturday, March 11th. Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Call 949-5211.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. Another birthday shout out to Miss Clea Smith of West Bay, coming from some of her cousins. And a friend would like to remind her of try not to get in the way when walking, to hit cars on the road. That's a joke that Miss Clea is supposed to know about as well. Try not to get in the way when walking. So birthday greetings coming from some of our cousins as well. Let's go to the phone lines. We have about 10 minutes left in the show. We have two final callers. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Oh, see, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, but it's static. Oh, it's gone now again. I don't know why it's coming up on my phone. But I just wanted to just call back to thank Steve for how he summarized my first playtime longer than rope.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we did sell the Department of Education quite a few books some time ago. The ministry was Miss Julie, Honorable Julia L. Connolly kind of supervised that. But I must say, I didn't even have a press photo of that delivery of those books to them. It was quite a sum. It was about $5,000 worth of books. And those books are so important for people to begin to try to have a grasp of their psychology and sociology. It's not important to everybody, but there are certain people in this country that have to be aware of why our social system malfunctions, why certain people can't stay on job, why certain people can't stay in relationships, and those things. These are things that these are subjects that people need to become accustomed to. People need to know how they were socially constructed, because it's only then that we can make any alterations. If you don't know yourself, you can't change yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I do not understand how we can have good governance when the government is not conscious of the people in their society, that they have an idea of them that is a false idea. So when you go to teach them in the schools, we find that people are failing, and they're failing simply because we do not understand how a personality or a character is constructed. It's all through socialization. And I just would like to say, I'm okay. It's other people that have not had the benefit of my experiences that might not be okay. Mm-hmm. I will survive. I'm 74 years old. I mean, goodness gracious, it's not my society really anymore, but it's the society of my son and other people that might be his age or even below or above. And we have to be held accountable for when we know something and we do not pass that knowledge on if it can be useful, that we have committed a moral as well as a criminal offense. The whole idea of governance is that you take responsibility for the society in which you govern. And if there's knowledge that could help solve some of the problems or give us an idea of how we might begin to try to school children differently and how we might be able to understand the conflicts in the places that the Caymanians have, and we do not embrace it, we are guilty of a serious offense against the human rights of people that are entitled to good governance. And I'm just saying that out again. I have spent the last 7 years researching and writing, and I have done that full time, from getting up in the morning at 4 o'clock, and I have an amassed amount of information. My understanding is even better than it was back 45 years ago, and I am going to publish it, and I'm going to call the British government out on it, because if we have a governor who is responsible ultimately for the good governance of the Cayman Islands, they cannot say that good governance is suppressing the professional opinions of people like myself. I got 10 and a half years of work out of 45 years back here with a PhD. If the Caymanians do not believe that that is a horrific offense against the collection and the use of useful information for the betterment of the people, then other people in other places might really begin to question what type of good governance has the British been responsible for in the Cayman Islands.
Doc,
thank you for allowing me to express that.
Thank you very much. Let's grab the last caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Okay, that caller has hung up, so we're going to close the phone lines off, and we're going to go now to this article, and we heard Dr. McField mention it as well. So we shared with you Privy Council's decision in the Justin Ramon case. And of course, the Privy Council is our court of last resort here in the Cayman Islands. Whether or not we have any, any choice as to whether or not we can go elsewhere, we can use a CCJ. I'm not sure. I have to look, we know what our Constitution basically says in relation to the courts. Have to look at that. But there is a country, most recently, that has given itself access to the CCJ, Caribbean Court of Justice. We also know that Jamaica is taking steps to move in that direction as well. So here's this article, access to justice greater at the CCJ than the Privy Council. And that's a statement made by Sir Dennis Byron, one of the prominent Caribbean jurists as well. Says the government of St. Lucia last week, took a giant step in its move to make the Caribbean Court of Justice the island's final appellate court when it passed the Constitution of St. Lucia Amendment Bill in both houses of Parliament. The bill is now on its way to His Excellency Governor General Ariel Charles before becoming a done deal. This paves the way for the country to detach from Britain's Privy Council and accede to the appellate jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court of Justice. According to government sources, having the CCJ as St. Lucia's final appeals court will eliminate the prohibitive fees associated with the Privy Council and make justice more accessible and more affordable to citizens. That is one of the key arguments that those countries who have acceded to the CCJ have used, and they are correct in that. Goes on to say that the pursuit to attain regional jurisprudence began in 2001 when former Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony and 11 other leaders from the Caribbean member states signed the agreement to establish the Caribbean Court of Justice. This is a historic day in the history of the people of St. Lucia. It is historic because we as a people are showing that we have confidence in ourselves. Cayman Islands people, listen to that. I'm going to read that again. This is a historic day in the history of the people of St. Lucia. It is historic because we as a people are showing that we have confidence in ourselves. That's self-confidence, folks, that we don't have to lean on somebody else's shoulder. That we have confidence in our jurisprudence, and we have confidence in the people of the region. And that's a declaration, a statement made by Philip Pierre, the Prime Minister of St. Lucia. The CCJ will make justice accessible to the people of St. Lucia, the Prime Minister added. Prime Minister said going to the Privy Council for redress in legal matters is a costly matter that the average citizen cannot manage. With St. Lucia's move towards accession to the Caribbean Court of Justice, now a hot button issue lately, the discourse has been steamy amongst politicians, activists, concerned citizens, and the general public at large. But the move to the CCJ does not have the blessings of the opposition in Parliament and the main opposition party, the United Workers' Party, which have called for a referendum to determine the position of the majority of St. Lucians on the matter of replacing the Privy Council with the Caribbean Court of Justice. Quite noticeably was the absence of the opposition senators when the bill came up for debate in the Senate Thursday, and the walkout by the leader of the opposition during the bill's debate in the lower house of Assembly on Tuesday. Government has derided the opposition claims, stating that with a two-thirds majority in the lower house, the Constitution states that there is no need for a referendum on the matter. Meanwhile, the chairman of St. Lucia's CCJ Accession Committee and retired CCJ, that is Caribbean Court of Justice, President Sir Dennis Byron, has been assessing the conditions conducive to St. Lucia's making the CCJ the island's first final appellate jurisdiction. Sir Dennis spoke at a recent town hall meeting in Vieux-Fort to raise public awareness about the transition. Among other pertinent issues he addressed were matters dealing with remuneration of presiding judges of the court and whether they would be paid by governments, which can exert decisive informal pressure on the judges to deliver judgments favorable to the ruling administration. Consequently, Sir Dennis explained that in order to preempt that eventuality and fund the CCJ independently, a U.S. $1 million trust fund has been established to finance the expenditure of the court. Thereby, he added, the expenses of the court will be as salaries paid to judges will be drawn from the special fund. So one of the arguments that people have used was that we would subject the Caribbean Court of Justice to political interference if governments were paying for it. So I think the United Nations, as well as the United States, they have put things together. I'm unable to share this whole article with you, but again, to say, and you see, for instance, in the case of St. Lucia, their argument is that they only needed two-thirds of their parliament to vote in favor of that change, the accession to the CCJ, and nothing else was needed in that regard. I don't have time to talk about it, but I wanted to talk about our Constitution and the various amendments that have been made to our Constitution in recent times. And one unnecessary one that I'm always critical of, and we have so many other things that we could deal with if they wanted more clarity, for instance, on the whole issue of Section 119 in relation to advisory district councils. We could have amended our Constitution, but yet instead we chose one amendment that I guess it's a feel-good one, where we wanted to change our Legislative Assembly, change the name to a Parliament, and our members of the Legislative Assembly are now called members of Parliament. Folks, all that does is feeds someone's ego, and we don't need that in the Cayman Islands. We need decisions that are substantive, that have substance, that are going to affect the people of the Cayman Islands and not necessarily affect the people who govern us here. Folks, I want to thank you. I want to thank Dr. Steve. I want to thank everyone who participated this morning in the conversations. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. And again, to Miss Clea Smith, happy birthday to you. And the joke is, try not to hit and mash up cars whenever you are walking on the roads. So I don't know why you're going about hitting and mashing up those cars when you're walking, Miss Clea, but those your friends have sent that little joke to you. So folks, I urge you to continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today, and as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery. Inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy. Taking care of your health. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.